What is up, Auburn family? What's up, Uptempo family? I'm your guy, Blake Lane. I just wanted to come in here, chill, hang out. I know it's late, 9 o'clock Central Time, where I'm at. And, you know, I was just thinking about let's get on here and talk some Auburn basketball. I'm sure me and Dustin will recap the Georgia game and talk about college game day coming to Neville Arena and what Bruce Pearl continues to do for this basketball program. So I just wanted to simply hop on here tonight and hey, if somebody hops in here and you got some questions, let's talk about it. And really the growth of for me Tahaad Pettiford and him coming off the bench, playing extended minutes this past weekend on the road, big shot after big shot. He's incredible. He's incredible. And I'm not really sure the draft grade and what he's getting looked at right now by NBA scouts. But for me, it's really hard for me to say that he's going to come back to Auburn for a second year the way he is playing, especially if Auburn goes on some big time run in the NCAA tournament, like we all think, right? Stock's probably going to continue to increase. Now, the one thing with Tahaad is if you look in the NBA, his size doesn't really match up. You know, you have your Jalen Brunsons, and hey, I think Tahaad would do great, but the numbers are against him with his size. But on the opposite side of that, the guy can flat out shoot it from the parking lot. So that's the one thing in the NBA where people are like, Blade, do you think he's going pro? He can shoot, y'all. He can shoot. He can also get to any spot on the floor and create his own shot. And that is where his game translates to the NBA. That is where he could take the next step. Now, I know, like I said, the NBA, they love the 6'4", 6'5", and all that. But Jalen Brunson's doing just fine, right? There's other guards in the league that do make it at Tahaad's height and his size. So hopefully he gets to come back for another year. But I would also take a national championship and Tahaad Pettiford moving on to the NBA if you catch my drift, right? Um, it's just the growth of him from the beginning of the season. I think he's 10 times more comfortable right now. And that's what I love watching from Tahaad is at the beginning of the season, yes, he showed up. Um, but it wasn't as smooth. It wasn't as crisp as it is right now. And I know he gets a little sloppy at times, and there's a couple turnovers in a stretch of the game. But look, you got to remember this kid's from Jersey, y'all. Basketball in Jersey is a lot different in other places in the country. Like that's how they play. That is how those kids get down up there. They're quick with it. They want to make the pass. They want to get out and transition and go and run. Like that is how basketball is played. We were in the game day group chat the other day, and people was like, "Why did Todd make that pass?" And I'm like, "He's from Jersey, y'all. That's how he goes about his game. That's how he plays." And I'll take that at times, right? I'll take that. One thing about the Georgia game is I never felt like we were in trouble. And if anybody in the comments, I see y'all over there. If did you ever feel like we were in serious trouble or we might lose that game? I know it got close, and I'm sure me and Dustin will talk about the ending and Pat Adams, and that was a disaster, right? I feel like that was so poorly officiated at the end of the game. And anytime it feels like anytime Pat Adams is officiating an Auburn game, something crazy is going to happen to where we just leave the game shaking our heads like, come on, man. I felt like that last minute stretch was just pathetic. Like, just clearly one sided and trying to get Georgia back into that game. Did Auburn execute? It could have been a lot better, but it was rough to watch. It was really, really rough to watch. And one thing I do want to say is, y'all, I was extremely, extremely disappointed in how Auburn fans attacked Jaheim Hudson in the middle of the game. on Twitter. Extremely disappointed in that. This is a guy that hasn't been asked to do a whole lot for Auburn. He was involved in the plane incident. He sat his time and he come back to the team, and he wasn't getting a lot of playing time because of who? We had Janai, Cardwell. It's hard for him to get on the floor, right? Chaney Johnson. It's hard for Jaheim or Turtle to get on the floor. But now with Janai out, he slides in and he gives you 18 minutes of busting his tail. Was it always pretty? No, it wasn't. There was some loud mistakes, some key mistakes that he made. The turnover underneath the basket, Georgia ripped him and turned around and finger rolled one in. That was one that was loud to me. But you got to look at all the good that he did. You got to look at the whole platter of work. You can't just take the sample, the small sampler over here, and say, "Oh, he's terrible." This is a guy that wasn't playing a lot in big time games. That's a ranked team over there. This is one thing I hate hearing is, "Oh, well, they're trash." Y'all, Georgia's not trash. Mike White has brought that program from out of the dumpster. They were a ranked team. The SEC is deep. I don't think there's anybody in the SEC that is quote unquote just trash. Now, South Carolina and some teams on that end, hey, I think if they were in other conferences, they'd be doing a lot better than they are in the SEC. But I saw Turtle step up and take a charge. I saw Turtle grab a big time rebound with about 4 minutes left. I saw Turtle step to the line and hit a big time free throw. That's what I saw from Turtle. Was he busted his tail. He was going after loose balls. He was scrapping in the paint. He was giving 100% on defense when he knew that he wasn't as good as the guy he was guarding. That's a teammate. That is a guy who stays ready for when his number is called. And I'll rock with that dude 24/7, 365. That is a guy I want in my locker room. And I'm sure that's why Bruce Pearl and staff went after him when he decided to transfer. But we've got to get out of this thing where you're just, "Oh man, he's playing terrible. He's trash. He's trash." We heard it with Semo at the beginning of the year. I don't know why Semo's on this team. We got to get out of that. I did not like that Saturday. I didn't feel like we were ever going to lose. I just felt like, man, we missed some bunnies. We missed some easy shots. And I agree. I got to pull this one up. We missed some easy shots Saturday. Maine says the offense fell apart when Tahaad went to the bench. 100% the truth. I think we were up 8 and Georgia cut it to 3 and Bruce put him back in the game. Denver, there's this thing out there where people want Tahaad to start. But the reason Tahaad's not going to start, in my opinion, is because you got Denver at the 1 and you got to have Miles Kelly out there at the 2. Because I think if Tahaad was to start, you would put Denver at the 2 for his defense. And I like Tahaad coming off the bench. I like it because not all the pressure is on Tahaad from the get-go. Tahaad can go out and have 20 minutes, and he's in the second unit. He's not all the pressure. It's kind of like Aiden last year, y'all. I felt you watch Aiden this year at Alabama. He's playing a lot better. You want to know why? Not all the pressure in the world is on him. He's getting his shots up. He doesn't have to be the guy. I like Tahaad off the bench. I like Denver. Denver's just, he's not a true point guard. He's a 2 guard. He can still create and make plays, but sometimes when things get tight, I like Tahaad because he's a better ball handler. I think he comes off the screens a lot smoother. His passing is better than Denver's, and he can create his own shot. So when you do call that high ball screen, Tahaad is a lot more willing to go off that screen and pull up and hit the dagger three. And it's a lot harder to defend when you have a guy like Tahaad. So when things do get tight, I think that's why Saturday Bruce was like, "Hey, Tahaad, get back in there, brother." Um, I just can't say enough about Miles Kelly either. Like this is a guy that transferred in from Georgia Tech, and 6'6" guards. Y'all know how I love 6'6" guards. I've been screaming for that for years with Bruce Pearl, because 6'6" guards win national championships. You watch Duke, you watch Kansas, you watch North Carolina, all the greats, Kentucky's, all of those, man. 6'6" guards win national championships. And Miles, for him to step up, grab the rebounds, and do the dirty work as a two guard speaks volumes to what kind of player he is and what kind of teammate he is. And he can shoot it from the parking lot. He can shoot it from the parking lot, y'all. I am okay anytime Miles Kelly lets it fly. Anytime he shoots and pulls up for a jumper, I'm okay. I think Miles, I think he could give you a head fake and get to the mid range even more and pull up at the free throw line and pop. I know he did it one time in the Georgia game Saturday, and I was like, hey, anytime it might not be falling early for Miles, man, when you come off of one of those screens and you catch, and they're going to close out and contest because of how deadly a shooter you are. Man, you give a ball fake, a head fake, and you put the ball on the floor, get to the mid range, pick and pop right there. I think Miles Kelly could be deadly with that in his game. I know the coach across the state, he doesn't believe in mid range. He doesn't believe in twos. They shoot threes only over there. So yeah, let's see. Yeah. Mid range is insane. Then he can score all three levels. Facts. Because he can get to the rim. He's had a couple of nice finishes for Auburn, especially when they do that flex cut and they get it to him. They tried it late Saturday, but he got pushed out a little too far and he didn't want to put up anything. He had a terrible angle, man. Like if he would have put that up, it probably doesn't go in. And so he was just like, I don't have it. Pump fake. Let me put the ball on the floor and dribble out. I think he has very good shot selection. And that's one thing that I'm impressed with Miles too. Another thing I want to talk about real quick tonight is I think this Auburn team is the best passing team that we have had in a long time. Just how crisp they are off the back cuts, off the flex cuts, off the screens, off the pick and rolls, man. Like this team can pass the basketball. It's high level passing out there. Chad Baker. I know sometimes I talk about when he goes behind the back and all that. I'm like, cut that out. We're not up 30, because he'll do it when we're only up 2. And but once again, that's how Chad Baker plays, and Bruce lets his guys play like that. So, you can critique it and go after it, but that is how Auburn plays. They're free, they flow, they're loose out there. So I just look at Tahaad, man, Denver, even Dylan. Like Dylan Cardwell can pass. Dylan Cardwell has made some big time passes this year. I always look back at that Iowa State game. Like Dylan had one of the bigger passes of the season in that game. CBM is the engine on this team. I see you, William. I see you. I got to pull that one up. William, I can't say enough about CBM and the maturity and his growth as a basketball player and the way he has accepted Auburn and loved Auburn and made Auburn a part of him for the rest of his life. And then you look at his game, y'all, I tell you, CBM might be one of those guys that he goes to Europe for a couple years, maybe like 1 or 2 years, and gets a shot at the NBA, or goes to the G League and gets a shot at the NBA. Like development in pro basketball happens. He could be one of those dudes. The way he's shooting the 3 ball and how deadly he is in the mid range, his passing. He plays pretty solid defense. Like that dude, that dude could make it somewhere. He could make it somewhere. If even if it's not in the NBA, he could go overseas and play big time professional basketball. So CBM he's the Energizer Bunny, man. He's the Energizer Bunny for this team. Like he's gonna give it 110%. You saw it Saturday with him too. It's like it wasn't going as planned at one part in the game. Like he missed a bunny at the rim. He had a three go in and out. Like sometimes that's how it goes. You know, sometimes your shot's a little off and you can't get things to go. And he finds other ways to help his team win, whether it's on the defensive end, whether it's at the free throw line. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's going to find a way to elevate Auburn and get them the dub. What was that about SEMO? SEMO gives 110%. Let me tell you something about SEMO. He might be on the minus side when he's on the court. But one thing I can never ever say bad against SEMO is that he doesn't give 110% effort. That he doesn't give everything he's got when he's in that game. I said it weeks ago. He's not a guy that's going to go to the NBA. He's going to get a degree from Auburn University, and he could get into coaching. He could do whatever he wants to in life. But he will always, always be welcome back to Neville Arena for the effort, and he stuck around. He could have transferred to South Alabama, Troy, Arkansas State, Middle Tennessee State, a lower level mid-major program, and he could have started. He could have started. He could have started. And cracking open that brew. No, man, I can't. I got to go to work in the morning. I had to crack me open a Coke just to stay awake. But SEMO could have started, and he didn't. He chose to know his role for Auburn basketball. And if that's playing 5 minutes a game, that's playing 5 minutes a game. If that's only getting one rebound a game, that's it. That's okay. And he lived with that. And I think that's why SEMO is so respected, not only around campus, but in that locker room. It's really, really nice to have a guy like SEMO on your team. In any sport, man. You want SEMO guys in any sport. A guy that is going to give everything he's got. And hey, if it's sitting the bench, it's sitting the bench. You're not going to hear SEMO. You're not going to hear SEMO cry if Auburn is celebrating the one shining moment. You're not going to see SEMO hanging his head when they're cutting the nets down. It's not going to happen. He's going to be one of the biggest ones celebrating. Who cares, you know? That's what it's it's not selfish, all right? It's selfless. Like he's just that kind of guy. Look, Auburn basketball has college game day coming to campus Saturday. There's a week break. Janai maybe out of the boot. I know there was a TikTok going around, them dancing in the locker room and all that. Who knows when it was recorded, right? But he could be back. And what I think of with college game day coming to Auburn, y'all, is I look back at when Bruce Pearl got here, and I made a TikTok a week ago, and I said Auburn only had 9 20-win seasons in the existence of Auburn basketball before Bruce got here. It's incredible. It's incredible. And now you have college game day. You're number one in the country. You're putting NBA talent into the league. You're getting these big time recruits, McDonald's All-Americans. Insane. It's insane. It doesn't feel real at this point that you're in the likes of Kentucky and you're in the likes of Tennessee in the SEC, and you're in the likes of playing at Cameron Indoor. We thought that would never happen. You're amongst the blue blood programs. I'm not saying we are a blue blood. I know the joke. I know it goes around. but you're amongst those programs. And I just never in my wildest dreams thought that this would actually happen until Bruce got here. And I was like, hey, there's a path that we could be pretty dang good. Now, I never thought we would go to a Final Four. I never thought we would get to number one in the country. And what Bruce has done, he's knocked it out of the park. But to have College Game Day show up at Neville for a top, I don't know what they'll be ranked now because they lost Saturday, but to have just say a top 10 matchup again, like it speaks volumes to what kind of coach he is. And you just gotta respect it, man. Like this dude has gotten the back end of Auburn athletics. He has gotten pushed off of NIL for football. The baseball stadium has gotten a whole new upgrade. I know basketball got the new arena, but there's other things that basketball wanted. There's other things that basketball needs. And he still recruits the way he does. He still brings in Tahaad Pettifords. That's why I'm not worried about with everything we're losing after this year. I'm not worried about next year because I know Bruce and Steven and this staff is going to put something together. They've got a plan in place. And we're going to be okay. We might not be number one in the country, but we're going to be okay. And I look around college basketball yesterday too, and we win a 2-point game at Georgia. And I look around at college basketball and I see all these teams losing on the road. And I just see some of our fans are like, man, that was such a terrible game today. We only won by 2. Hey, be thankful you won. Iowa State, who I think is a top 3, top 4 team in the country, who you beat at the buzzer in Maui. They lost yesterday to West Virginia on the road. Tennessee, how you doing? You went to Vandy and lost. Like, there's teams that are highly ranked that go on the road, and it's really hard to go on the road and win in college basketball. You got to be thankful that you pull out a dub, even if it's ugly. Like the South Carolina game, I told y'all. You won. Get out of there. Get out of there. It doesn't matter because when March comes and they're determining who's the number 1 seed, they're not going to pull up Auburn's resume and say, well, they had a close game at South Carolina. They had a close game at Georgia. They're just say 29-5. They had a close game here. No, they're dubs. They're dubs. You won. Get out of there. That's it. I don't want to say this, but sometimes we've gotten to a point where Auburn basketball is so good that sometimes we might be a little spoiled. We might be a little spoiled. And we say, oh, well, we should have beat them by double digits. Don't always happen like that in basketball, y'all. College basketball is a weird game. It's really weird. One thing I do want to talk about. One thing I do want to talk about is the entire country. Let me get this real quick. Road games are seriously hard. Yes, Auburn Dad, they are. They're extremely hard. They are. It doesn't matter who you play either. Doesn't matter who you play. You can play the worst team in your conference and go on the road and lose. You're not used to their rims. All right? Your shoes ain't used to that hardwood. All right? Like, there's certain things you might not know the spots on the floor. Like, it's just there's things that happen on the road, man. The crowd noise and there's just different things. There's different things. You're not used to that court. You're not used to that environment. It happens. It's tough. It's tough. They're going to look at them dubs, but they're going to look at them as dubs, but we don't get nearly the push Bama basketball gets. It's crazy. Look, Here's the thing. I think Alabama's really, really good, y'all. I do. I think they're really good. Now, the one thing about Alabama basketball is they don't play a lick of defense. They don't play a lick of defense. But why is Alabama going to get the push over Auburn? I think some of it has to do with Bruce Pearl isn't a fan favorite with the NCAA. Alabama is the king of the state. They're always going to get the push in every sport. They made it to the Final Four last year. Bruce Pearl's got the knock of he can't get out of the first weekend. It happens, right? And they're going to push Alabama. They are. They're going to push Alabama. And that's okay. That's okay. Like, if you go to Alabama and you lose and then you get them at the Jungle, that's fine. I'll live with that. But I think Alabama's really good. But I'm not going to sit here and say that they're better than Auburn because I don't think they are. But I think they're good. And I 100% get where you're coming from with them getting the media push. And it'll always be like that, y'all, till the end of time. They're just the king of the state. And I know a lot of Auburn fans might hate that I say that, but it's the truth. They're always, just like how they handled the DeBoer situation. Like, they were so quick to, Kalen DeBoer is the next great coach. It's just, that's how it's going to go till the end of time. But I wanted to talk about this team. When Janai went out, everybody thought Auburn was doomed. Everybody thought Auburn was going to go 1-2 out of their next 3. And Auburn would fall to 8 to 10 range in the rankings. And there was just no way this team could win without Janai Broome. And this team laced them up and they said, hey, we got shooters on this team. We have guys, even without Janai, that can step up and rebound for this team. We need 2 guys not to get in foul trouble for this team. That is Dylan Cardwell and Chaney Johnson. And I thought Chaney has done a great job with Janai being absent to not pick up those cheesy fouls that sometimes he draws, and the ones especially when they pull him away from the basket and he's 25 feet away from the basket and picks up a foul with 5 seconds left on the shot clock. I'm like, Chaney, come on, man. Look, this Auburn basketball team is cut from a different cloth. And I got ripped last year for saying, I got absolutely annihilated on Twitter. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing because I said that you could take that SEC tournament championship and don't even put a banner up for it because you lost to Yale the next week. All right. I got ripped for that because I didn't think that team was cut from the cloth that this team is cut from. I didn't think that team had the guys that this team has. That team was weak. They got hot in that NCAA, that SEC tournament. They got hot. They won it. But that team didn't have it here, and they didn't have it at the guards. Missed Trey Donaldson, but we stepped up at the free throw line against Yale, and we missed. And we had our opportunities to win, and we couldn't get it done. And I love Jay Will. I think he's one of the best, man. I appreciate everything he did for Auburn basketball. But there was times where Jay Will just seemed to me like he wouldn't come out of his shell. He wouldn't take that next step. You saw him in the summer league. He was dominating. He was putting up big numbers. I was like, bro, like, you were great at Auburn, but there was times where he would just shy away. I don't think we have a guy on this team that wants to shy away. I don't think we have a guy, if it's not going, he's going to shy away from the moment. There's guys on this team that want the moment. There's guys on this team that are going to do whatever they can to help their team win in other ways. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. CBM is J Will with an attitude. Great one, John. Great one. That is that's clutch stuff right there, man. Like that's the thing is I just felt like J Will was a little reserved and he wanted other guys to be that guy. And at times I was like, bro, just come out of your shell and go off. And it never happened. And I thought that team was weak. But this team has a dog about them. This team, they're also united in the locker room. They're also united in the locker room. That is big to me. And you can talk all about the playing stuff and all that. I think that united them even more. I think that brought them together even more. They said, hey, man, we're getting clowned on by the entire country. Who cares? They don't know what we're about. And that is what has made these last 2 games without Janai special, is you were getting clowned on once again by the media. And they're not the same. They're not the same without Janai. Well, no shit, we're not the same without Janai. That's like saying Alabama's not the same without Mark Sears. Well, duh. Like, come on. I mean, like, we can't just be throwing out trash takes out here. We know we're not the same team without Janai Broome. Doesn't mean that we're still not really damn good. Don't disrespect us out here. I mean, when I heard that, when I saw that guy, I think he was a Tennessee fan, and he tweeted, well, Auburn's just clearly different without Janai. Come on, y'all. Come on. Like, what are you even tweeting? And he said, well, once you get on a neutral court, it's going to be different for you. Well, what have we done on neutral courts? We haven't lost on a neutral court. We went to Maui and won the whole dang thing. So what are you talking about with Auburn's got to square up on a neutral court? Guess what? March Madness is on a neutral court, and Auburn right now is undefeated. Auburn's only blemish is at one of the most hostile environments in college basketball, arguably the most hostile environment, the Cameron Crazies. In a game that, if you look at it, they probably should have won. Can't help it. You had a guy who hadn't done nothing, and he goes out and hits 18 and don't score for the rest of the game, and then they throw up a acrobatic shot to beat the buzzer and the shot clock. And, there was just a lot that went on in that game. The Cooper flag whistle was just something else. Don't trash us, though. Don't say that we're not good without Janai. Come on. I thought that was crazy. Also, Howard is CBM with Cambridge's ups. I'll tell you this, too, about Ja'Kai Howard. Ja'Kai Howard, a lot of people have got to lay off Ja'Kai. A lot of people got to lay off Ja'Kai because I asked somebody the other day. Somebody brought it up to me. Was like, do you think Ja'Kai is going to transfer? I said, hey, what do you know about Ja'Kai? Like, do you think there's any chance he could transfer out? Like, where are you sitting at? And he said, I don't really know, but one thing I do know about Ja'Kai is he's different than a lot of kids. He is a guy that keeps his emotions in check. Like he keeps things to him. He's not a celebration guy. He's not a guy that's loud. He's not a guy that just does all the antics on the court and all that. He's not that. He's not an outspoken person. He's like one of them introvert guys where he just keeps things to himself, and then when he boils over, he's just different than a lot of kids. You're not going to see Ja'Kai on TikTok doing dances and all that. That's not him. That's not him. That's not who he is. And so when people see him tweeting things and stay on that side and all that, that's just who he is. That's his way of going about things. And I do think there was a talk with him, with Bruce Pearl and the staff, and they got it figured out. And the thing is, like, yes, he was such a highly rated recruit, y'all. He was. And he come to Auburn, and he probably expected to get a lot of minutes and play a lot. And at the beginning of the season, he was probably in his feelings because he was like, "Man, I'm not getting the run that I thought I was going to get." Right, but you've got to sit back and you've got to look at your team and say, "I'm not the guy yet." Like, there's guys at my position that are better than me. There's guys at my position that have played a whole hell of a lot more college basketball than I have. But you see him now, he's slowly starting to get it together, y'all. He's slowly starting to find his rhythm on offense. He's really found it on defense, in my opinion. Uh, I think he's going to be one hell of a defender, especially if he stays at Auburn. I think he is. I think he's going to be one of those guys that you look at next year and you say, "Hey, this could be a guy that could lead Auburn." I think Jakai just needed some. I think he needed some tough love, and you got that, right? 100%, 100%. John Howard might he might be the guy next year. We play that Duke game 3 times, we win 2 of them. Hey, I'm with you there. I think that was just one that got away. That was just one that got away. 4-1 true road or 5-1 true road. Look, we're we're just a different team. We're just a different team this year. And I saw I saw that guy tweet all that, and I'm like, that's what makes Auburn basketball great this year. You have so many options. And I don't know why the commentators and the analysts and all this they come in and they're like, well, Auburn's doomed. They're gonna lose a couple without Janai. No, we got snipers. We got guys that can shoot it. We also got Chaney Johnson, the biggest development on the team, or maybe in the country, is the development of Chaney. I mean, you saw. This is what's great. This is what's great about Auburn and this team is you saw Tahaad kick the rock to Chaney in the corner, and Chaney passed up the 3 ball and dribbled, put the ball on the court. All right, he dribbled, and something happened, and Tahaad, I think they fouled Chaney, and or it was a jump ball or something. Something happened, and Tahaad looked at him, and he was like, "Why didn't you shoot it?" He's like, "I kicked it to you for you to shoot it. That's your shot. Shoot the basketball." And it was like, "Hey, that's a freshman, all right." Like, Chaney is an upperclassman. That is a lower classman. That is a freshman. That's the chemistry on this team. Shoot the basketball. That is why I passed it to you. There's a lot of options on this team, and they're really, really good. Last thing I'll say, y'all. Last thing I'll say. Why in the hell did Georgia's court look like that? Why in the hell did Georgia's court look like that? The two-tone hardwood with the bulldog and the big G. What the hell are we doing over there in Athens? I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And I see you, brother. The athleticism makes up for Broome. The only thing that hurts is rebounds and blocks. If DC can get aggressive, then we will be okay. DC got to stop fouling. Got to stop fouling, and he's got to get better hands on some of these passes. Dylan, he's been kind of clumsy here lately. I don't. Yeah, I know he's not. I'm not asking him to dump 30, but man, some of these little inlet passes you got to handle better. I think it's got to be better. It's got to be better. But he's been clumsy. Looked like a 6-year-old designed that court. It did, man. Hey, one thing with y'all, real quick, before we get out of here. I know it's getting late. It's 9:47. But one thing for me is every time we go to Athens, does it not look like it's almost dark in there? Like on TV, to me, it looked like there was lights out all over the place. And I'm like, hey, what are we doing? It looks almost dark in here. It looks like in Tuscaloosa when they turn the lights out. Like, it's a weird place to play to me. And I know the rivalry. I get it. I understand the close game. Yeah, Devin, the lighting, it looks awful. It does. Um, like the hangar. Yeah, it's bad. Uh, it's bad. It's bad to me. I was shocked when I saw that court. I was like, what in the world? What's up, Ernest? How you doing, brother? Appreciate you. But that's it for tonight, guys. I just want to hop in here and talk a little bit about this basketball team and the adversity that they have faced and overcoming that adversity and just being the great team that they are. The leadership, the accountability, all of that stuff, man. The coaching, everything. It's great. It is great to be an Auburn Tiger. I appreciate y'all. I'm sure me and Dustin, with no basketball game in the midweek, I'm sure we'll be live Tuesday night. Hopefully, everybody prepare for this storm. It's coming in. They're saying Mobile, Alabama is getting snow. All right. So everybody, please stay safe. Cover them pipes up. Stay warm. Be safe driving. I know we don't know how to drive and all this. But hey, love y'all. Thank y'all for everything. Thank y'all for being a part of the journey on the Uptempo podcast. I'm out. War Damn Eagle. I'll see y'all hopefully Tuesday night. Love y'all.